TRIPP is a connectivity project, a very important connectivity project, linking Azerbaijan through Armenian territory with Azerbaijan's exclave, Nakhchivan. And this project is important because it is the outcome of the summit in Washington in August 25, where Armenia and Azerbaijan reached a peace agreement that was mediated by President Trump. It's one of the signature achievements, according to Trump, of the US administration. So it is an important step forward towards practical cooperation between these two countries, which were at war, have been at war in the past for decades. And it would lead, if realized, it would lead to a situation of cooperation, replacing confrontation over many decades. So this is the first point. It is a project, and important to be aware really that at this point it is a project and not yet more, because many things are to be defined. There is not yet even an exact idea where exactly this route would run. It would be a multimodal route. It would be for the transportation of goods. It would also be potentially a digital route and an energy transportation route, according to a framework agreement which has recently been published between Armenia and the United States. Azerbaijan, interestingly, was not involved. So many questions are open. How will Azerbaijan be brought into the definition of how this corridor, or I should better say the route, will operate? There are important questions to be settled still. TRIPP matters a lot, indeed, for the region first and foremost, because, as I said, it should lead to a situation where cooperation will replace the confrontation which has characterized the region, and notably the relationship between Armenia and Azerbaijan for many decades. And peace in the South Caucasus is clearly a European interest. Europe has been involved for decades through the neighborhood policy, through the Eastern Partnership, in trying to help promote peace there. And beyond peace, which is very important, of course, it is also about trade, because the TRIPP sits on what is called the middle corridor, and that is the connection, the connectivity, which links Europe through Turkey, the South Caucasus, and the TRIPP potentially in the future to Central Asia through the Caspian Sea and ultimately up to China. So the middle corridor is a very important element connecting Europe with Asia. And it is complementary to the northern corridor, which runs through Russia, but which currently, due to the sanctions imposed on Russia and the war, first and foremost, of course, in Ukraine, is not fully functional. This is why the middle corridor, the trade, the route through the South Caucasus over the last 4 years since 22 has seen a fourfold increase in trade volume. So it is also about strengthening the middle corridor. The middle corridor does not depend solely on the TRIPP. No, it already exists. There is notably a very important railroad going from Baku through Tbilisi to Kars in Turkey, but this will be complemented in the future by a southern leg along the Armenian border. Turkey is building a mega project, a railway directly to Nakhchivan, and from there trade will then go to Baku and then through the Caspian Sea to Asia ultimately. So it's a complementary element and will strengthen the resilience of the important link between Europe and Asia, which already exists through the middle corridor. The middle corridor will be strengthened. That's economically important and politically important. I should also mention that the corridor is important, the TRIPP is important because it brings the United States back into the game, I would say. The United States has been strongly involved in pipeline politics in the past, and the US is seeing, I would say, a strengthening of its involvement again in a situation where Russia has seen a decrease of its presence in the South Caucasus. It's I wouldn't say it's all its links, no, but its position has been weakened. And in particular, Azerbaijan and Armenia, for different reasons, have both sought to get out of the shadow a bit of Russia. So politically, it is important that the United States are there, but it comes also with a risk because, as we all know, the Trump administration is erratic in its behavior. And as I said before, all this is currently, the TRIPP is a project, an important project, but there are still many steps to be taken to bring it to life. I think the European Union has an important role to play in several ways. It can first and foremost help fill the existing governance gap along this middle corridor. And let me explain a little bit. There is not at this point an agreement on the standards which apply, let's say on customs procedures, on border crossings, also very important, on dispute settlement, very important. What is if a dispute happens along the route? How will it be settled? These are important governance gaps which the European Union can help fill because the European Union is uniquely well placed to come in on this. There is a lot of experience in the European Union given the strong engagement, notably in Global Gateway, which is a major connectivity project worldwide being driven forward. And indeed, this part is also will be part of Global Gateway. So I think there is this expertise on these governance issues which can help overcome this bilateral situation or make it a multilateral undertaking, how to run this route and the TRIPP, which will be part of the middle corridor. The second area where Europe can come in is in helping societies prepare for peace. You know, let's not forget the Azerbaijan expelled the Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh, the territory over which Armenia and Azerbaijan have been fighting for decades. They expelled all the Armenians, and within a very short period of time, Pashinyan now has reached an agreement in principle, a peace agreement with Azerbaijan. That's a lot for the Armenian society to digest, and in particular the communities along the route through the Armenian territory, which TRIPP will imply, are not prepared for peace. And the European Union is already today engaged through a number of projects in promoting the understanding for Azerbaijan and for the both sides there. So societal readiness is the second issue beyond governance gaps, filling of governance gaps. And then, of course, also democracy. That's a very important dimension where the European Union is also involved, notably through the EU mission in Armenia. There will be elections in June, and only if Pashinyan wins the elections, there is a chance that he can bring through a constitutional referendum, which is an important step in the sense that the president of Azerbaijan insists on this constitutional referendum in Armenia because it would lead to a situation where Armenia would have a different constitution which would drop a reference to territory which Azerbaijan considers Azeri territory. So this is a key condition for Azerbaijan to ratify this agreement, and Europe will certainly and is engaged helping Armenia fight back efforts of interference from outsiders, which may well exist in the run-up to these elections. So the integrity of the elections is an area where the European Union rightly is already engaged. And so that is also an important contribution that you can provide and is providing.